Hey people, this is DJ.
And this is Ish.
And
this is
season
season
4
4 of
Better
Better Let Me Tell You.
It's funny when she came out with that song, The Great Escape.
Oh, that's a great song.
I thought about it as escape, like, escape to like Hawaii, escape to like an exotic beach. But then it was
Out of jail.
out of jail. I
Yeah.
never thought about it that way.
No, but that's okay because we're cool.
Okay. This is all Gwen Stefani banter.
Yes.
Welcome everybody to episode
175.
175.
Yeah, we're cuckoo.
We've been in the 170s, I feel, for about 20 years. I think we were on 173 for
for like 6 months.
Hello everybody, happy Friday. Happy
Actually,
Friday.
I'm trying to think of it now. I'm like, okay, wait, no, we're not
Happy
going to
Pedo Friday.
No, we'll be in the 180s by the time the year's over.
Bueno, Chico, we're in the 175.
No, I know, but it's just one of those where you just said right now. I'm like, I feel like I've been doing it forever, and I'm like, wait a minute, where are we going to be?
Yeah. Happy Friday, everybody. How is everyone?
Happy Pero Friday.
Happy Pedo Friday.
Pero Friday.
Gwen
Hispanic
Stefani.
Heritage Month.
Yeah. Hispanic heritage.
You've had some problems pronouncing today.
Yes, Hispanic Heritage Month.
Yes.
Because we don't get a full whole month.
We get 15 days of each.
I think it's so appropriate for
Well, we're always late.
our people. Yeah.
We're always running late. And then we stay a little longer than we should.
Right.
So you know what? It makes sense. And I'm going to take
Totally
it.
makes sense.
I'm gonna change approved.
Yeah. Gwen Stefani. Like, we were singing Gwen Stefani songs.
Why not?
You know, it's funny because Gwen Stefani, did you like No Doubt?
Yes.
Okay. When like Just a Girl and
Tragic Kingdom.
when that song first came out, I was like, whatever.
Right.
You know. But Don't Speak is like one of the greatest songs ever. I would put that in my list of, like, if I made a list of like my top, I don't know, 50 songs of all time or
wow.
top 100,
Okay.
I would definitely put Don't Speak up there.
That is a great song.
It is such a good song. And you know, she's one of these people that, like, I think she's like wine. I hate making that comparison. That's so like Karen from the Midwest.
But she gets better with age.
But she's great. Like, she's still so good. You know, my only issue with her now is, right?
That she's married to Blake Shelton.
Oh, I can't take it. Like, I hate it.
I don't know. He doesn't bother me. But
I
just don't have an opinion of him.
I
one or the
hate
other.
that faux, like, bromance, like, fight him and Adam would have on The Voice. Like, I hate it. It's like, this is so for show. This is so for, like, segments. Like, it's so stupid. Just go on to the next contestant.
You're not going to produce a hit singer anyway.
Wow. that was a low blow. Oh, yeah.
But was it a lie?
No.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Well, first off, to everybody who listened to us last week, thank you so much. For those of you who posted on our Instagram about your similar experience that Ish and I had about putting our gifts on the bed,
yes.
we're glad, you know.
We're not the only ones.
We're not the only ones. But nobody still answered our question.
If it is a Latin, a Cuban, or Miami thing.
I don't care.
I don't think it's a Miami thing because I think some of the people posted or reached
I
out
don't
to us
care
are
what
not
it
based
is.
in Miami.
Where did it come from? That's what I want to know.
Spain, we said it. We remember we
Eso es
established.
España. Eso hacían los
That's it.
españoles.
We established it.
Like, who cares what it is?
Decision
Like,
made.
Yeah.
You and I have made it canon. That's it.
Because it's like, that has to have come from somewhere.
Yeah, that didn't just start. Well, I mean, I guess it did just start one day, but
Well, yes. There was a first person.
to put their gifts on their bed.
There was, first gift person, patient 0. Right? Oye, oíste que there's going to be a Tiger King too?
Okay, I saw the headline, but I haven't read anything about it. So, I mean, what's left?
So
Are they just going to
what I
follow
would
Carol
love
and Dancing with the Stars?
If, like, all the people that were on the first one, now that they probably made some money, come back and they're, like, totally refined.
Oh.
Like, if his ex-boyfriend now has teeth.
It's and we can end there. Just
Yeah.
Steve.
Right. Like, if they're all, he's wearing a shirt.
Right,
like,
right.
in the interview.
Maybe got some cool sculpting. You know, it's like a little more trim. Right.
Yeah, if everybody comes back, like, super...
Like todo hecho.
Yeah.
Like made over.
Yes. They took them to, like, Hollywood.
Wait, is that what it's going to be? A TLC makeover show?
They're going to have to bring back the Swan. Because remember the Swan, they would have like nose jobs.
Oh
and
no, it was
facial
like
reconstruction.
Yeah. Tejado nuevo.
How do you feel about this having a part 2?
Well, I mean, I think it's number one. I want to know what they're going to be covering, right? Because the reality of it is, yes, you can cover, but
Well, they could have him in jail, interview him.
yeah, but there's only so much. Like, I mean, the original Tiger King, number one, it was lightning in a bottle,
Right.
because
Exactly.
it happened right when quarantine started. So
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think Tiger King would have been as popular as it ended up being if it wasn't? Because it was like the week or the week after the world
quarantine
stopped for COVID.
Right.
So do you think if it would have been released at another time, it wouldn't have been as popular?
Not as popular. I think it would have been popular. There would have been people who would have been like, bro, did you see that documentary about that crazy Tiger King? Like, there still would have been that. I don't think Carol Baskin would have been Dancing with the Stars. I don't think, you know what I mean? I don't think it would have been as big as it became because we were all stuck at home. It was in a bizarre way. You know, you and I have talked about before where like now everybody's so fragmented that you don't really have those quote unquote water cooler moments, right? Where everybody watched show X on Monday or whatever. I think that by virtue of quarantine, we had virtual water cooler moments now, right? Because we were all just like, well, we're just going to sit here and watch the new thing because we are all bored at home. So I think there was a little bit of that for sure. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think it would have been as big a deal if we hadn't all been stuck at home.
It is wonderful though.
Oh no. I want all of it.
What was your favorite part of Tiger King? Let's revisit Tiger King.
God, there was so... You can't really pick one. You know, I'm going to go ahead and I think like that first episode was my favorite part. Just because I had heard about this case before on a podcast that I listened to. They had talked about him. Mm-hmm. But I had never seen him. I didn't know the extent of it. And then when they just kind of like drop you into that world and they're like, by the way, here are your two main characters. Whatever his name is, Joe Exotic and Carol Baskin, and here's all the random motley crew of people surrounding them.
Yeah, I have to say that like the part because that Tiger King, it was like one curveball after another.
Just when you think it's okay,
yes.
It is.
I think that the end when he ran for governor and he still managed to get like 20% of the vote.
He got
that was. Nobody saw. Well, there's a lot of things nobody saw coming. Nobody saw the suicide, the guy who killed himself
on camera,
coming, on camera coming. But that, because you never in a million years thought it was going to go that way. That he was going to run for office, and like
he got votes,
and
a substantial amount of votes.
I felt very conflicted when I saw Tiger King, and I finished watching it. And I thought about it because. While Joe Exotic is the villain, Carol Baskin is not the victim.
I think there's no she's
it wasn't like oh my god la pobre
right
you know
right like
oh my gosh
yes okay there was a hit ordered on her fine that sucks
okay yeah we're not for illegality
right we're not pro
but it wasn't like oh my god he's such a horrible person look what he did to this poor woman. It was like Carol Baskin was quite a little number.
Sí, una mosquita muerta también.
Who killed, who gave her...
may have killed her husband.
Right, and fed to the tigers.
We don't know.
And of course it was tigers, not like the peacocks.
Well, peacocks are not carnivores.
Isn't a peacock a hilarious animal?
So wait, what are they going to talk about in part 2?
I don't know.
Is it going to be multiple... Tiger King.
I always think
peacock.
of that Katy Perry song.
Oh,
I want to see your peacock.
I totally forgot about that.
That wasn't a single, but they used it in NBC.
I was going to say because I went to an upfront for NBC that year, and they were using it.
Right. I don't know. They just Netflix announced it,
so they haven't given more details.
No, but there is this image of him in jail.
Well, but that's the thing. I mean, they have to talk about that, but there's only so much access I would imagine they have to him in jail.
Imagine him in jail. He's like tremendo. Like,
well, he had the COVID.
Oh, Joe Exotic got
COVID at one point. He was waiting for a pardon from Trump.
I sort of find so hilarious as this would be that the two husbands he had on the show, like they didn't identify as gay. Like
they were just married to him.
They were just married to Joe Exotic.
Right, as one does.
Like, right? I'm marrying Joe Exotic today.
Not gay, just married Joe Exotic.
This is an asterisk.
This is an asterisk. That's not even being like sexually fluid. That's just
it's Joe Exotic.
There's gay, bi, pan, Joe Exotic.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's like I like we have this conversation. I'm like, okay, what did they see in him? Because it seems to me that he had money,
right?
No, or he was somebody who was really interesting.
Nope. Well, interesting he was.
Well, yes, but not for the right reasons.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
You could be like, well,
he was hot.
Right. Let's put that one out there.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But
hey, listen. So, stranger things have happened.
Yes, stranger things have happened. So,
but Netflix is gearing up for a lot of documentary stuff. They're doing a Britney one too.
Oh yeah,
Britney versus Spears.
I saw that.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna give anything new. Like honestly, after the 2021, like.
Well, from what I saw, they have like interviews with people that are even more in the circle.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying, like, I don't think there's been enough distance from that initial documentary to have another documentary.
I think that
you know what I mean.
What's so interesting? Well, you and I have talked about. I don't know. No, I'm pretty sure we haven't talked about it in the podcast as far as Britney Spears goes. I'm just waiting, like when all this is said and done, and the conservatorship ends, who she's going to give the sit down to.
I mean, I've told you, I'm already in talks with her people. She's going to give it to us.
To us.
And we're going to go to her mansion.
You know what's so funny? If we were to interview Britney Spears, do you know, honestly, the last thing I would want to talk about is conservatorship?
Yeah.
I'll be like, okay, first of all, where's TJ?
Yes, we need to find out where TJ is.
And
I need to understand what is Touch of Rose.
And the question that we've always wanted answered: why did your record company go from the bottom of my broken heart as a U.S. release and not
Born to Make You Happy,
one of your best songs
and best videos?
We'll never understand. I
mean, we'll get to the conservatorship eventually, Britney. But like, let's talk. This is what we really want to know. We'll get to the whole. We
want to know
drama.
Your single choices,
right?
What, like, why? It's so funny because that's the last thing I want to ask her about. Like,
it'd be great if like somehow we land this thing and we talk for like an hour and we just totally forget to bring up the conservatorship.
Like, oh, our time is up. What's I guess we have to ask you about the conservatorship.
Be like, I don't know, you're free now, right, Brittany? Like, you can go and do
It was bad, y'all. Yeah, it was bad. It sucked.
It sucked. I know. Sucked. All right. Well, thank you.
It sucked. But how was it flying on that harness in the Dream Within a Dream tour?
Was it hard to do that while you were wet?
Yes.
Because that looks very uncomfortable.
Yes.
Right.
And have you kept all the props from the anticipating performance?
Do you still have that denim outfit you wore with Justin Timberlake? Right. These are the things that our audience wants to know.
That'd be awesome.
Do you still keep in touch with Kim Cattrall? Like, this is... These are the things. These are the questions.
Was there really a talk for a Crossroads 2? Cross Harder.
Cross Harder, yes. What would you do if you knew the world was going to end, Brittany? Would you keep on dancing?
She'll be like, y'all, this is like the best interview ever.
You know what? It would be totally up her alley.
We're like, look, Brittany, we have these guava pastries. Have you had guava? I know they don't have it in
Kentville,
in, Louisiana.
Right.
But like, have you had guava, Brittany?
She probably has because she stays at the Mandarin Oriental, which is like kind of close to like Little Havana. So I'm sure she's probably gone to some, bakery.
She stayed at the Mandarin Oriental here?
Yeah, a couple times, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Has Sam had guava, Brittany?
Oh, that's a very good question. That's the first question we'll ask. I'm telling you, we would sit with her for an hour, and like at about the 45-minute mark, we'd be like, oh, fuck, we haven't talked about the conservatorship. Like, okay, so how was it?
We'll be like, hey, remember when like your other name was Mona Lisa or whatever?
Yeah, whatever happened to that?
Whatever happened to that
album?
Let's talk perfume. Like,
yes. What fantasy are we on right now?
Are you ever going to have a male fantasy?
Oh, well, she kind of did. My prerogative. Well, it wasn't fantasy, but my prerogative was a unisex.
Unisex. Okay, because we want to smell like Britney Spears fantasy.
Yes. Can we smell like the upcoming? And now you have to make it freedom fantasy.
Yes, freedom fantasy. Yes.
Yes.
Why did the circus tour not have an official DVD release? Why?
I'm just picturing her right now, just be like, wow, y'all asking some real interesting questions. Like, I don't even know how to answer most of these.
Brittany, what is your favorite video? I know what my favorite video is.
Brittany, what it is right now?
Yes. Do you know what I think is the hottest she's ever looked?
The I Love Rock and Roll video?
Yes.
Are we talking videos or are we talking in general?
Okay, actually, I think the I Love Rock and Roll video, it's the hotness is so hot that it's like you don't know what to do. It's like I don't know what to do. Should I be like interested? Should I be turned on? Should I just watch the video? Should I just have a cold water, like a cold drink?
Quench your thirst.
Like, don't you feel like that overwhelmed when you watch that video? You know? And then I'm thinking, why was this not a single release either?
That's
you know?
another one. See, we have so many questions about single
Right.
releases. She's gonna have to come with somebody from BMG.
The video of hers that I love, that it's like so freaking sexy. It's not even a video. It's that interlude she did with Sweet Dreams.
Oh yes.
That is so, it's so good.
Yeah,
It's so good.
she's hot, y'all.
So good. Where, yeah, it was like a video interlude in the circus tour,
Yeah,
right?
circus tour, yeah.
But you could find it on YouTube.
Oh, you can find anything on YouTube now.
Britney Spears,
Interlude, Sweet Dreams.
Sweet Dreams by Marilyn Manson.
Yeah,
It's good. It's good.
I'm just thinking of us sitting here with her. I'm literally just thinking of us sitting across the
Brittany,
table
why
from
don't you
her and just
interact
be
more
like-
in your concerts?
Be like, yeah, seriously.
We want more concert, interaction.
Yeah,
Yeah. What was Touch of My Hand really about?
it'd be great if she's like manicures.
Yeah. Be like, okay, fine. We got to ask you about the damn conservatorship. Fine. Brittany, did the Python really give you
Oh, and that brings us back to Joe Exotic.
Joe Exotic?
Yes.
Because one of the guys from Tiger King was on there.
Yes, there was his tiger.
The other guy.
The one that came to own Joe Exotic's park.
Yes.
Who
was
doesn't
no
own
angel
it.
either.
No, he doesn't own it now either because that was Carol Baskin got it and then she actually sold it. She doesn't even own it anymore.
If we were to get this interview with Britney Spears, we got to bring in Steph from Mamas and Merlot.
You know what? There will be so many people who'd be like, "Can I feel like we'd have
Well,
to."
first of all, I don't think Steph would forgive us if we don't.
That's true. No, it's like I told her the other day. She's like, "If you guys get invited to the Met Gala, you have to take me." And I'm like, "We'll say you're a publicist or something.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll figure it out."
We wouldn't make it out alive of the interview if she found out.
This is true. It would be the
So
last thing
Stephanie,
we ever did.
you would be in our
team.
our team of interviewers.
Our team,
and I'm
our
sure Stephanie will
publicist or
come up with
something.
some really interesting questions too. I'm sure Stephanie probably would be like, "Fuck the conservative too."
Yeah.
Like, I want to know.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares about conservatorship. That's all.
I told you. I've said this before. When Justin Timberlake performed at the Super Bowl,
Oh yes, yeah.
everybody was like, "Oh, is he going to bring out Janet Jackson?" Which would have been badass.
Yeah.
Oh, is he going to bring out NSYNC?
Right.
Which would have still been badass. But I wasn't the only person that said it, but I'm like, if Justin Timberlake would have brought out Britney Spears and they would have sung Cry Me a River, I think the world would have ended that. Like, I think there would have been a pause in like the world. The
Okay.
earth would have stopped on its axis.
Now that you said that, I had a similar thought last Saturday because I was at Miami Beach Pride, and as you guys saw on our Instagram, Paulina Rubio performed.
And somehow I ended up on a
You ended up on a bus.
I ended up on a
float somehow.
on Miami Beach Pride, but that's a story for another
day. So I'm sitting. So we're there watching Paulina, and she was good. She was fine. She was good. She did her hits. She was.
Paulina estaba en el Miami Beach Pride.
See, and oh my god, I'm telling you, my favorite part was when she's like, "Let's all go to in the ocean," and all I could think of afterwards was like, if everybody just went home and she's just sitting on the beach like sad, and then nobody went. Jose's like, yeah, and she's singing like as a ballad version. Y yo sigo aquí esperando. That nobody comes. But bueno, she kept saying like, oh, I have surprises for you. And I told Jose, I turned to him, I'm like, let me tell you something. She didn't have any surprises. If this woman like goes backstage and pulls out Thalia, like that's it. The world ends tonight. Like if that woman shows up on that stage with like Thalia, it's like, yeah, olvídate. Forget it. The world will stop spinning.
Yo no me pongo ropa de mal gusto.
Hola, mi gente. It's National Hispanic Heritage Month, where we celebrate the contributions and influence of Hispanic Americans to the history, culture, and achievements of the United States.
And this year, we're teaming up with Lay's to celebrate what makes us 100% American and 100% Latino.
Flavors like limon, chile limon, and cheddar jalapeno celebrate the flavors we all know and love with that unmistakable Lay's quality.
So grab your bag of Lay's limon, chile limon, or cheddar jalapeno this Hispanic Heritage Month and enjoy flavors that celebrate who we are.
After all, we all know you gotta have Lay's.
Pero do it con sabor. Hey everyone, this is DJ, and in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month, we have teamed up with Lay's to bring you some of our favorite movers and shakers around town. And today, we are happy to have one of our personal favorites, a friend, Seth Burgerby. So, hi there, sir, senor.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me. Hey.
Pleasure's all ours. So, we know that one of the, you are Burger Beast, that, one of your biggest staples, if you will, is La Frita Cubana. So talk to us a little bit about what exactly is a frita cubana. And, one of the things that we are trying to promote with Lay's is 100% American, 100% Latino. And I think the frita is probably a good mesh of that. So talk to us a little bit about the history of La Frita.
To kind of give you a little background on how it kind of ties to a hamburger, White Castle kind of standardized the burger in 1921 in Wichita, Kansas. And a few years later, a variation showed up in Cuba called La Frita Cubana. The main difference was they were cooked using the same technique, though what's popular now like a smash burger, but these were very heavily seasoned. So they had cumin and garlic and pretty much what a lot of Hispanics put into all their foods. And that was the main difference. We did it with onions, and they were served in little carts. Eventually, when they made its way to the United States in the early 60s, and it's spread all over Miami, and Miami's a hotbed of frita activity.
And when these original fritas, if you will, and I like that story because I can't think of something more, again, 100% American and then 100% Latino than all these seasons, going into a frita. When the fritas first started, or if you will, were created, were they like little burgers that come with the little breads and little burgers, or were they more of a traditional burger that we think of nowadays?
They were kind of a little bit of both. They were about 2 ounces, and they weren't served in a bun. They were kind of used like what's called here una flauta, which is the long Cuban bread, and they were just cut in slices as they needed for the sandwich.
I also think that you had mentioned, I had heard you say earlier before that with a traditional American style burger, you cook the meat and then you add the seasoning later, whereas with a frita you mix it in. How does that work?
Right. So the frita, and there's almost a little burger blasphemy. The frita is, a lot of people consider it the Cuban hamburger, but hamburgers generally don't have seasoning mixed into them. They're just seasoned on the outside while they're cooking. The frita could be somewhere in between. It doesn't have breadcrumbs, but some places it might do it. It's kind of like a meatloaf in a way, where it's very heavily seasoned and then cooked. Except it's not in an oven; it's actually on a flat top.
Cool. Well, listen, it's a frita, but like most food items, it certainly has a history. And I think that the fact that it's so similar to a hamburger, but yet so different in its flavor is a good representation of what we're trying to do with Lay's, of really show the diversity and how the complexity of a lot of these foods. Thank you, Seth, for being with us. We learned so much about the frita. Who knew? So everybody out there, remember, you got to have Lay's, pero do it con sabor. Let me tell you. I don't think so.
But I'm saying, can you imagine if that would have been
Yeah, but Britney with Justin would have been... I think that's something that needs to happen. They need to come out together.
They'll probably present... You know what? When they're 50 or something, they'll probably present a Grammy together.
Ugh.
I'm saying that'll probably be what happens. They'll do some type of, I don't know, at the Billboard Awards or something.
Anyway, bueno, let's move on because we weren't even going to plan on talking about this.
Definitely we're not.
Okay, so, we talk about everything on here, and
yes, we do.
Not
just frivolous,
little
things
like Britney Spears video and single choices.
Oh, those are important sometimes.
Bueno, what's going on with Haiti? and the immigration crisis.
That is insane to me, actually. And forgive my ignorance, but it's like, how did that many people even get to Texas?
Desperation.
No. I mean, physically. Because we're so used to them showing up here in South Florida. Like the boats come to South Florida and things like that. Like, it never dawned on me, Texas.
I had a
Do you know what I mean?
conversation earlier this week with someone who I don't need to say who it was. That I don't think this person was trying to be mean. I don't think they were trying to be demeaning. But they were, and because we were saying, which people know this is not a secret, that the country that has the most illegal aliens in the United States is Canada.
Oh, really?
Right. There's tens of thousands of Canadians that have expired visas.
Oh, they just show up here for work or whatever.
Right. They're living in the U.S.
and just don't go home.
They work.
Yeah.
They live in the U.S. and whatever, and it's not really enforced.
Right.
Right.
Because they're so polite, we don't know.
I don't know if it's the country with the most. Okay, let me take that back. It's not the country with the most undocumented people in the U.S., but it is the country with the most people that have expired documents.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Because usually Canadians don't. Well, the border with Canada and the U.S. really isn't.
It's Michigan.
Right. It really isn't. There's not much of a border.
That's what I mean.
Right.
Yeah.
But there, I think it's like tens of thousands of Canadians are here illegally because their documents have expired.
Right.
Right. And I was having this conversation with this person, and they were saying how, well, but the thing is that Canadians that live here, they work here, and they have families here, and Canadians are very similar to Americans. It's like almost the same thing. So it's like not only do they blend in physically, but it's like it's similar culture. It's almost the same. So it's like an extension of the U.S. So I said, okay, so if I'm understanding you correctly, you're saying that because Canadians are very similar to Americans,
it's okay if
it's okay if they're here. So what I'm hearing is
anybody who
that
doesn't
certain
look like
people
us,
certain people should be treated
differently
one way, and other people should be treated another way.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm not trying to say that. I go, well, no, but actually, and I wasn't trying to like.
You may not be
attack
trying
them.
to say it, but
I
that's
was
what
trying
you
to
said.
deconstruct it. I'm like, no, because what you're saying is that Canadians, because they're so similar to Americans, and they're here working and whatever. That you understand why
it's
the
okay.
U.S. is not, it's laxed on the enforcement of those visa violations or whatever. But, Haitians that are trying to come here because there's been, practically genocide in their country and, the other
As we have said many times on this podcast, Haiti cannot catch a break.
All the issues that occur in Haiti, right, who are trying to come to the U.S. for a better life. You're saying that Canadians, well, because again, they look like us, they sound more like us.
Right.
They should be, it's okay that they're treated
they get one
a certain
treatment.
way,
Right.
So yeah, I'm like, right. So what you're saying is that a certain group of people should be treated one way, and a certain group of people should be treated differently. I'm like, that, my friend, is the definition of racism.
Right.
Because racism really is that one group of people or one class of people should be treated in a superior form than others.
Right.
And he's like, oh, but the first thing, but I'm not a racist. I'm like, well, you may not think you're a racist, and maybe in your hearts of hearts you're not. You think that nobody should be, everybody's
but you are
equal and all that.
expressing a racist sentiment.
But when you are saying something like that, your intentions may not be racist,
right.
but your messaging and what you are saying should happen actually is.
Right.
Because you are saying it's okay for some people to be treated this way
and other people to be treated
and other people to be treated way differently.
Right.
Right? So
I'm just amazed at the and again, I really have to plead ignorance on this because again, being in South Florida, I'm more used to that when we have Haitian refugees coming, they're on the giant boats and they're landing on our shores and things like that. To see that many Haitians, essentially in a shanty town, I mean, they've built a town there for all intents and purposes, right? I'm just amazed at the sheer number, first and foremost. Because again, my ignorance is showing, right? When I think Texas border, I think Latin American.
Right. Well, yes. The sheer number right now, it's a lot. But, there's a lot of Cubans that actually come into the U.S. like that.
I know.
My cousins came in like that.
I was going to say.
My cousins came in through Central America.
Yeah.
And there's actually a lot. Like, there's thousands of Cubans that are in Central America.
Waiting to...
Right now, waiting to come in. Every time there's one of these immigration debates or crisis or whatever you want to call it, I always say, people, don't lose your fucking humanity. Like, we could have a conversation about policy.
Listen, I'm not about open borders, but I am also not about people on horses rounding up people.
Yeah, like the optics of that were
I mean,
awful.
the
optics of that.
How?
You have to call it for what it is. The optics of that
They look like a plantation
are
owner.
just as bad as the optics of little kids in cages, and this is solely on the Biden administration, because if this would have been the Trump administration, we would have been screaming bloody
murder. That's true.
Bloody murder, and Bloody Mary, bloody murder.
Don't say it one more time. She shows up. It's if you say her name 3 times.
Oh, okay, okay, I won't say it.
Okay.
Not even if you order the drink.
Oh, well, maybe that's an exception because it's brunch.
Gross.
I don't like Bloody Marys.
There's nothing appealing about alcohol, tomato juice, and celery. But anyway,
This is true.
it's what, vodka?
Vodka, yeah. I always think of Mother Jefferson from the Jeffersons.
Why?
Because that's what she would always drink.
Bloody Mary.
Bloody Mary, yeah.
Anyway, if it would have been Trump,
We would have been up in arms.
up in arms. So
We have to be equally
So yes, Biden, you are messy. You need to fix this, and you need to fix it quick.
sweet.
Yes. As I said, I always get upset when people lose their. It's like a lack of humanity. You can have a conversation about policy. You can have a conversation about what we should do about this. We could have a conversation about, I'm very liberal. I'm a progressive. I don't believe in open borders either. Right. I believe there is a process. Right. But you can't.
You still have to treat them like human beings.
You still have to treat them with dignity and with human beings,
because they are human beings.
They are doing the same exact thing that our parents did. And let's talk a little bit about immigration waves in the U.S. Let's not forget that in the early 1900s, when the Italians and the Irish immigrated to the U.S., let me tell you something, people. The reason why there's a little Italy in New York is not because Italians were like, oh, this will be a tourist attraction one day. Like, let's make it easy for people
to find us.
Right. The reason there's Chinatowns, it's not for that either. It's not for that reason either. Right. The reasons why these neighborhoods exist, right, was because this is where these people were put because nobody else would take them. Right. So they had to make their own villages, their own neighborhoods, their own restaurants, their own stores,
communities,
their own communities. The same for Jewish people, the same for Polish people.
Yeah.
It's not a coincidence, right?
Right.
It's because these people had no other choice. Because when the Irish and it's true for many nationalities, when the Irish, the Italians, the Polish came to this country, they were treated terribly. Terribly, and nobody wanted them, and terrible things were said about them, and it was just an awful time.
They were second-class citizens,
right? So this is not.
It's not new.
This is nothing new. It's shameful. It was shameful then, and it's shameful now. But I give the
biggest difference is that the shading of the discrimination of the people being discriminated has changed.
Oh well, yes, right. But I give that as examples that immigration waves in the U.S. have always existed, and a lot of times they were met with resistance. And the reason I bring that up in particularly is because all these communities in the past have eventually flourished. Right? And now, oh my God, let's go to Little Italy.
Right, Chinatown.
Yeah. It's like you have to give people a chance, and it's just the optics of this whole situation are terrible and inhumane, and it's happening under somebody else's watch. So, when stuff like that happens, and then you hear being pissed off, and saying, well, racism in the U.S. is a problem, and and not people are treated equally.
Right.
Not everybody is treated equally. I mean, then it's when you really realize, and you have to stop and listen. Well, you should always stop and listen, but then you have to stop and listen and be like, well, this is happening under a different regime, different administration. So is this a problem that's inherent with our society and our country and our laws?
It's not a political party situation.
Right? Because as much as I don't like Donald Trump, and as much as I think he did, he took us back 50 years in terms of racial
Progress.
Donald Trump didn't invent racism.
This is true.
Although he'll probably like to take credit for that too.
He probably would.
Big. I invented racism. So, fix it quick, Joe.
So, I'm about to say something that I didn't expect to say.
Okay.
So recently our governor did something that I kind of agree with.
Oh.
So, I think it was like a couple weeks ago. He called on lawmakers to revamp the state's school accountability system.
Oh, yes.
By eliminating several of the annual exams that students take and replacing them with shorter student quote-unquote progress monitoring reports throughout the year. And the whole thinking is, once you have this test at the end of the year, it's too late. Like, it's too late to do anything. So you should have, as the year goes on, you should, it should be progressive, and all that. And I'm like, you know what? That's not a bad idea. I mean, I don't have kids, but I keep hearing from parents like, oh, this thing is coming. And like a friend of ours, one of her daughters, like every year at the end of the year, la pobrecita, she gets mad anxiety because the test is coming. The test is coming.
Never, when I was a student, when I mean student, I mean student in the school system. Even then, when I was in college and in law school, and now even as an adult, I've never quite understood the purpose of standardized testing. Because I think that standardized testing gives you an advantage or a disadvantage that is a social construct.
Say that again?
Okay. So let's go take it back to Saved by the Bell. Okay. Remember when Zach Morris got like a 1600 on his SAT?
Right.
And Jessie Spano got less?
Right.
And she wanted to go to...
No, Stanford.
She wanted to go to Stanford.
Right, but they wanted her at Harvard.
Right? Wow, I can't believe I'm going to use those.
Saved by the Bell as
a reference. But Jessie was a student that had straight A's because she studied hard.
Right.
Whereas Zach was a goof off. So I've always thought about standardized testing. Okay. I've always thought of that like, okay, so you're somebody who takes tests really well, but maybe you are not academic. You don't care for academics. You don't care for studying. You don't take school seriously. So why should you be given a greater advantage than somebody who has good grades,
applies themselves,
works hard, is dedicated, and succeeds? Like, why? Like, that's never made any sense to me. Never. Because the truth is that in college, you have to study your ass off.
Yeah, there's no coasting.
So it's not like, oh yeah, I'm very smart, I'm a great test taker. No, you could be the greatest test taker there is. If you don't study, if you don't know the material, your ass off, and you don't know the material, you're gonna fail.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you could pull certain things off, like somebody I know, that being me, how I got an A on a test without reading a book. But
that was in high school.
Yes, and I got an A. You got what, a B?
I got a B, motherfucker.
And I didn't even buy the book.
I'm still bitter.
Anyway, I'm a good listener. But you know what I've always been really good at? I've told you I have this talent that I can answer. No, well, but I can answer a question by reading. I could give an answer by reading the question.
Right. You can.
I was like, oh, I know what they want.
Right. You can give them what they want. Exactly.
That's why when I was in law school, in law school, most of the time your final exam was one question. It was like a story. It was like a one-page fact pattern.
Okay.
And that was your final exam. The entire course was
just one question.
Was summed in one question. And you would see people like freaking the fuck out. And I'd be like, oh my God.
I know what they want me to say.
I know
what they're looking for. Yeah.
Have I already told you that one time I froze in law school?
You might have, Pero.
So I can't say that I'm a great test taker, but I'm also fine.
I don't get anxiety. I don't get nervous.
When I take tests, there comes a point that's like, I know the material. Like, I know it.
I know what I know, and I'm gonna...
I know it. I know it. And I was like the type that when I would go, like, when I would have my finals, that, you know, you're there outside waiting to go in, I would have my headphones on. It's like, I don't want to hear people talking about, like, oh my God, this, and I didn't get that, and blah, blah, blah.
So would it be fair to say that you got in the zone?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm up against the speaker trying to take the music on the competition. Me against the beat. I want to get in the zone. Anyway, I would go in there, and you know, again, your question usually, your final answer, your whole final, I mean, would be just like a 1-page fact pattern.
Right.
So, civil procedure has been the one class in law school that I was like, I went blank. I had never gone blank on an exam ever in high school, in college, in grad school. Never. I had
20 years is not a bad
I had
run.
never gotten blank, and I went blank. And that civil procedure isn't one of the harder classes in law
I was going to say
school.
it's pretty standard stuff, right? I mean,
But tú hablaste like if you were like
no, but it's procedure. It's like it's not
Yes,
like it's not like critical
yes,
thinking.
It's procedure. It's like I would say mid-range in terms of
That's what I'm saying, like-
difficulty. And I blanked out, and I started to panic, and I was like, "Don't panic." And then, you know, when you see other people like answering, I'm like, "Okay, I don't know the answer." But how I used to study is I would memorize my outlines, all like 50 pages of them. And I'm like, okay, well, because I'm going blank. Here you go. Civil procedure week 1, subject matter jurisdiction. Civil procedure week 2, personal jurisdiction. Civil procedures week 3, you know, summary judgment, whatever. I'm like, the answer is somewhere here.
This is true. They taught it to you at some point.
So it was my 1C in law school.
Oh,
That and tax, but we won't get into that.
I know who likes taxes.
No, tax, when I took tax in law school, I was like, I want a C.
That was your goal.
Yes. I'm like, my goal is to get a C. I'm not going to get an A or B. I'm not going to. Like,
And I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
You're okay
Just
with
give me a C. Give me a C and get me out of here, because this is why I hire an accountant. Like,
Exactly. Tax.
this is why I do TurboTax. Like,
Who wants to do taxes?
I have no interest in learning this material for real.
No.
Anyway,
Nay.
back to what were we talking about?
So I mean, basically, you know, the fact that now they're splitting it
I
up
made
so
the
that
conversation about me.
that well, you know, it's what we do sometimes. You know, they're splitting it up so that as opposed to just like here at the end of the year. Now, did you learn anything? Oh no, too bad, so sad, you failed. You know,
Right.
They're really making it more, you know, throughout the year so that you can course correct.
I keep thinking those standardized tests. I can't.
But I don't know if I don't think the course the proposed method is a standardized test. I think it's just like progress reports,
Right.
as it were,
Right.
which is more, you know, just where are you and
Right. It's more like smaller pictures
right
of your performance rather than one final.
at the end of the year when it's too late.
Yeah, I've never understood those tests like the FCAT. Well, we never took the FCAT.
No.
Like you would see all these people struggling with the FCAT.
Which is the one that we had to take in 10th grade?
Oh my God, the HSCT.
Okay, yeah, that one. It's high school competency test.
Yes. Do you remember the questions with the HSCT?
That test was a joke.
It'll be a circle. Half of it was shaded in. What percentage is shaded of the circle?
That-
And what I remember is there are people who like failed the HSCT.
Yeah. I remember we went into, because it was on a Saturday. It was 2 Saturdays, right? Because one was math and one was English, no?
Yeah.
I remember that it was like, you know, they allocated 3 hours or something. I think all of us were like in and out within an hour at most.
And I
At
remember after
most.
we went to Dade Lemon.
Yeah. Like at most we were there for an hour.
You're not going to remember this, but I do.
Okay.
Well, after we went to Dade Lemon. And do you know what we had for lunch?
Oh, I'm definitely not going to remember that.
Chick-fil-A. That's how long Chick-fil-A has been open in Miami.
Did we?
Chick-fil-A has been open in Dade
No.
Lemon.
I know
We
that.
did.
I know
We
that,
did.
but
We did. We had Chick-fil-A. And I remember one of our friends like loved Chick-fil-A. And I'm like, and that's how long
It's been
Chick-fil-A
around
has
Miami.
Chick-fil-A has been in
when we were in 10th grade.
Dadeland, if not late 80s, early 90s. Yeah. And now for some reason everybody's like
La Furia de Chick-fil-A.
La Furia de Chick-fil-A. So, you know. Anyway. Okay, so what else do you got?
What else do I got? I'm trying to think. So, I mean, I guess we can talk about, you know, the very sad case of Gabby Petito.
Yeah.
You know, for those who don't know, she's from I know she's from Florida. I don't remember exactly the area. Her and her boyfriend went on a trip. They went on like anybody else does. And they left together, and he came back, and she was not with him. And they have since found her remains. He is no longer
Was she at a national
found.
park when they found her?
I know it was a wooded
didn't
it was
they
a
take
wooded
a-
it was a wooded area.
Didn't
I
they
don't
take
remember.
a trip of like the national parks?
They were taking like a road trip, but like so. And the weird thing is that there is, from what I understand, there's some dash cam footage. Because they were pulled over by the cops at one point, just speeding or whatever, and that she looked agitated, and the cop asked her, how are you okay? What's wrong? She's like, no, I'm fine. I'm just, I'm a little upset right now, but no big deal. This, that, and the other, and that was the last time anybody saw this young woman alive. Since then, they have found her remains. Her boyfriend, who they had brought in for questioning, is now gone missing, and it's a sad case all around. I mean, obviously, we're talking about a young woman. She was 19 years old. I mean, went out.
It's a horrible case.
Went out, to have a weekend with her boyfriend, and we could sit here and we could talk about the toxic relationships and all that. And there's a whole lot of just wellspring of things that we could engage in. But I'm trying to figure out the way to say this. What bothers me the most about this case is actually not the case in and of itself.
It's the coverage.
It is the coverage. It is the quote unquote missing white blonde woman gets
the reason we
footage.
decided to bring this up is because it's in the news right now, and in the last 2 weeks I've been really, really busy on some projects that I'm working, and I'm generally the type of person that watches the news. I read the news, I watch the news in the morning, so I'm usually
You're pretty up to it.
up to date of everything that's going on.
Apologies. Petito was 22 years old.
And in the last couple of weeks, I've been like, when I mean busy, I mean like I don't have time for anything, let alone watching the news. And I kept asking, I'm like, is there like I see this
she
case
connected?
of this
Is
missing
she
girl? Is there something
that I'm missing? Right.
that I'm missing? Because like the coverage on her, it's everywhere. Like
Right.
the other day I logged into NBC.com and it was like the main news story, and then under it was like 4 other articles on it, and when I scrolled more there was like 2 other articles on it, and I'm like, is there something like out of the ordinary of this case
Right.
that that is warranting so much coverage? Because again, we want to make it very, very, very clear. This is a terrible tragedy.
This is beyond a tragedy.
Our hearts go out to her and her
Yeah.
family. I mean, this is horrible. Please, nobody misunderstand this. We're not taking away from the tragedy. But what I don't understand, and you as well,
Right.
is that there's
Why is there so much focus
on her. There's and it's not even that there shouldn't be focus on this, but there's thousands of people that go missing
yeah.
that are of color, that are transgender, that are immigrants, and
and they barely make the local news.
right. So and usually like it's very dramatic cases,
Yeah.
right? And they don't
But it's
get
like an alley
any
hallway.
coverage. That's why I personally, I had somebody who's very, very close to me.
Yes, you were telling me.
A few years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, her niece, and this is somebody who's very close to me, her niece here in Miami her niece went missing.
Right.
And her boyfriend again also was like the suspect. He went missing as well.
Okay.
And I think, I don't know, maybe a few days later or a week later, they found her dead in the trunk of her car.
Wow.
And they had they had dumped the car somewhere in
Yeah.
Miami.
God.
And I think it came on the news like when she went missing after 48 hours. They were like,
Because she's an adult, right?
Right. If anybody has seen the whereabouts of this person,
Right.
call
Let us know.
call Crime Stoppers or
Yeah.
whatever. I think that got coverage for like a blip.
Right.
And then when they found her body in the trunk of the car, I think that got coverage like, oh, body,
Body found in
dead in the car.
right.
That's
Right.
it.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
Her parents had to hire an investigator and all that. And I make that as a parallel because this was like a young woman, you know.
Right.
I think she was in her early 20s as
Same,
well.
right.
Killed by her boyfriend.
Right,
Her
right.
boyfriend went missing. So very, very similar facts. And that just came and went. So again,
And this poor woman, Petito, already has an hour-long special with Nancy Grace.
yeah. And again, we want to make this very clear. A life is a life, and
Yeah.
tragedy is terrible, and our hearts go out to this family. And I even question, is this even the right time to talk about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, should we like wait till after to have these discussions? But again, it's not.
I would say no,
it's not
because
even
if
that I
time
question
passes,
the
then-
coverage, because I think that this should get coverage.
Right, but I think
why do
everyone should get coverage.
Everybody should get coverage.
You know,
Like,
did you ever hear of Dulce Maria Alvarez?
no.
Okay, Dulce Maria Alvarez was a kindergartner, 5 years old. She vanished from a park in Bridgeton, in Jersey, 2 years ago this month. Local headlines for a while. Publicity about the poor child has tapered off. Last bit of news, age progression poster. That's about it. Have you heard of Lauren Cho? Yeah. 30-year-old former New Jersey teacher, last seen Yucca Valley on June 28th, where she'd been staying with an ex-boyfriend. She hasn't been seen since. Have you heard of Sofia Juarez?
No.
A toddler from Kennewick, Washington.
And the list goes on.
I'm literally just on an article and I'm going down the list of all the, people of color, minorities who have women who have gone missing. And again, it's not that we're saying don't cover what happened. We're saying let's put all of these people's names out there. Let's give attention to all of the missing. Let's not pick and choose who gets that exposure, because that's not fair to the families. All
Yeah.
families are in that situation.
Yeah, that's why-
and deserve that help.
That's why I asked you. I was like, I know I've been a little bit out of it recently, but is there some ties or something out of completely of the
Right, right.
ordinary? Because like the coverage has been like overwhelmed. Like it's
Yeah.
been nonstop. And it's very unfortunate because a life is a life, and all of these cases should be getting attention. Nancy Grace should be having
A daily
daily
of
profiles
all these women.
of all these women or all these people that have gone missing.
Yeah. It's just it's sad, and I just wonder. I don't know. I mean, I could go on a rant about the inherent racial overtones of the coverage. And that's not the fault of the family. You know what I mean? Like the family is just like, you want to cover my missing child? Please.
Of course.
I will take all of your help.
Of course.
But the fact that the news media kind of picks and chooses which missing person warrants more attention is very frustrating.
Yeah, it really is. So, wow. Well, our condolences and our hearts do go out to her family and all the families of people that have
gone missing,
have gone through this. It's just awful, absolutely awful. So, that's a bummer. That's not a great way to end this show.
No, it is not.
So, I mean, do we want to talk about more questions we're going to ask Britney Spears that are not about the conservatorship?
I mean,
where's Cousin Allie?
Oh, Cousin Allie. Do you still talk to, what was his name? The bad influence.
Cousin Allie.
No, the guy. Sam
Lufty.
Lufty.
Didn't Sam Lufty get deported?
Oh, did he?
I think he did.
Oh, well then, okay, then. Okay, well, that takes care of that.
Why was Radar on 2 albums?
They paid a lot to rent the horse for that video, and they were going to get their money's worth.
We were going to get our money's worth.
Yes, yeah. Horses are not cheap to rent.
No.
They are not. No, that is why. I don't like that song.
On my radar.
It's
whatever.
It's not great enough to be on 2 albums.
Right.
I mean, it's okay.
I kind of like it when singers have multiple songs with the same name.
Like what?
Like what?
I'm pulling a total blank. I'm pulling a total blank right now.
George Michael, Freedom, I won't let you down.
Okay.
I will not give you up. Freedom.
Okay.
Do you know why that song is called Freedom 90? Because that's the name of the song, Freedom 90.
No, but
Well, it came out in 1990.
Well,
But the
yes,
reason why
yeah.
it's called Freedom 90 is because George Michael has another song called I Don't Want Your Freedom.
Oh!
I don't want to
And that's called
play
Freedom as well.
Around. I don't. And here's a little secret. I'll tell only to you and your listeners.
Okay.
I like that version more than Freedom 90.
It's more fun.
Freedom 90, like whatever, it's iconic. The video, yeah, I got
Right,
it.
right,
you know,
right, fine.
or whatever. Fire model, supermodel, Cindy Crawford on a tub. I get it. I know. I understand.
Who's gonna have a problem with Cindy Crawford in a
Yeah,
tub?
I got it. But I like the other one.
It's more poppy.
And you know what else? What else has?
Give me another one.
Okay. In your eyes,
Forbidden
love.
Okay.
Madonna.
Yes.
And then
From
in
Bedtime
Confessions
Story?
on right? And Confessions on a Dance Floor. Forbidden love. Are we
Okay.
supposed to be together?
I just fell from the
Forbidden
tree because those are actually
love.
probably two of my favorite albums of
you
hers,
had
and I
never-
had never thought about it.
Forbidden love.
It never dawned on me before.
Yeah. She actually has another one.
She's a third Forbidden Love.
No.
Man, she wanted to make that shit happen.
She wanted Forbidden Love to happen. She has Addicted. She has 2 songs called Addicted. Yeah, they're not famous, but yeah. Which Forbidden Love do you like more? Confessions or...
I like Bedtime Story more.
Yeah, me too. I like both of them.
Yeah, but if I have to pick one, gun
Yeah.
to my head, yes,
Babyface.
yes, baby.
Yeah.
That's why, because
Yeah.
the baby face just like whispering the whole time.
Yeah. Is that fun?
Oh my god, I totally
You had never put 2 and 2
never
together?
thought about it at all.
Yeah. So this is a better segue into our last soda.
Yes, this is a much perkier, happier yeah. So it's time for our last sodas.
Yes.
Do you have yours?
I do, and it's interesting. It's not a I'm not going to give a soda. I'm going to tell a story.
Okay.
And it's about me.
Okay. Go.
What? No, you want to give your last soda?
Well, because I just feel like I don't want to like have my soda
go
be.
give your
I don't want my
last
soda to
soda.
be like stupid after you tell
Yes,
a story.
no.
You know.
Go ahead.
So it's a gasless soda.
Oh, those are fun.
I'm giving it to the Carriage Hills apartment complex, specifically their HOA.
Oh, this sounds interesting.
Now,
Is this here in Miami or Florida?
it's in Florida. It's in South Florida.
Is it Zephyr Hills?
Now I don't know South Florida. Now I don't live at this place. I don't, but I did see them last night on Channel 7 News. They were on Help Me Howard. Now, Carriage Hills used to have a security guard at their entrance. And that's how, if you would drive up, you'd the security guard, you go in, whatever.
I know another place that had a security guard.
They-
And things did not end very well.
No, especially not for the mailman. So they got rid of the security guard.
Okay.
Now they have like this this scanner system where you get a little like a UPC code that you put in the window of your car, and as you drive by, it lets
and
you
have to
in.
put that
Right.
ugly thing on your car.
Exactly, right? Okay, great, fine, whatever. Well, the problem is that one of the residents of Carriage Hills, a Ms Vangie, and I hope I'm pronouncing her last name properly. God bless. This is, you all may have heard about the drag queen Ms Vangie.
Is this related to?
No,
Miss?
this is Mrs Vangie. She is 100 years old.
God bless her.
God bless her. Está entera. Like she was sharp as a
What did
whip.
they do to Miss Vangie?
They refused to, Mrs. Vangie, because she's a widow. They refuse, so she doesn't have a car. So every time that she goes out with her friends, to a doctor's appointment or whatever, and she comes back, she can't get back into the community. I was going to say the reparto. The community. The community. So she called Help Me Howard because she's like, look, all I want is for them to give me the UPC, the scanner thing, on like a card or something. And that way I can just keep the card with me and I can scan it.
Total sense.
Well, no, they refused to give it to her because they say it's a security thing. So they offered to, so they said, okay, one workaround is you can call one of the board members whenever you're going to come in and they'll buzz you in. And she said, yeah, that's fine and all. But the problem is that every time I'm going to go out, I have to like schedule my day around this person being available to buzz me back into essentially my home. They offered to give her a cell phone. She says she doesn't want a cell phone because it's an inconvenience. The woman's 100 years old. Really, you're going to give her a cell phone? Like, there's this whole thing. Like, I mean, again, she's like, I just want to be able to get into my home. Bueno, resumida cuenta, Carriage Hills, even with Help Me Howard and Fraser and her, helping out, they said that no, we're not going to give her her little card
Let's go
thing.
protest. Let's go.
So
Dale,
you
vamos.
know what? I am calling on all of us, and I will be posting the video because I took the video they had it online and I recorded it. I'm going to post it because that is just so wrong. This woman is 100 years old. Give her the fucking card. Let her get into her home. She is independent. She is spry. She has a life, and she should be able to live it.
After Help Me Howard premiering, they've gotten a lot of shit.
They have to. They have to have. I mean, and they're saying that it's because of security reasons, right? Or because, they could lose the card, whatever. Right. There's like a little door gate, whatever, that the cameras captured, was not locked, was open. So security, mira, esta.
Do like the Kardashians live there? Like who lives there that like
needs this much security? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is there an embassy in there? Like a diplomat? Like
the Carriage Hills Embassy, yes.
Yes.
So I don't know what we need to do. I don't know if we need to get Ms Vangie involved to help Mrs Vangie. I don't know.
Oh my god, that'd be awesome.
But I'm going to tag Vangie when I post it.
Is Ms Vangie still a drag queen?
Yes, Ms Vangie is still a drag queen.
Yeah.
Yes, and she's Latina. So she's gonna make a stink.
And Mrs Vangie is
an older. I'm thinking she's a white woman. I don't know if she's Jewish or whatnot, but she's an elderly white woman. I'll show you the video when we're done recording. She's gorgeous. I love her, and just give her the damn card. Just give her the card.
Shame on them.
Yes.
I think we should have a last soda / shame.
Yeah, like shame on you.
Shame on you.
Carriage Hills.
Yes. Oh, HOAs. When you have a dictator in an HOA, that's a form of communism.
It really is. You want to talk about un comité?
That's why, like, where I live now, have an HOA. Like, I'll make those people muffins, like, because an HOA can make. Listen, I know. I used to tell this to people all the time when I used to do foreclosure defense. That we were dealing with the big banks. I would tell people, like, whatever you do not stop paying your HOA because those people will foreclose on you faster than you can like pack a bag.
Yep.
They will foreclose on you way before
Citibank.
A bank. The problem with HOAs in Florida is that it's ongoing. Back in the day when they wanted to make Florida more of a retiree destination, we're talking about like probably in like the 40s and 50s. Legislatively, they gave a lot of leeway to HOAs. So they can have these adult communities and things like that. So legally, HOAs in Florida have a lot of power.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Lot of power. They can come and change your locks.
Wow.
Too much power. And, from foreclosing on you to towing your car to setting up rules.
As Burger Beast knows.
Different things. They have a lot of power. And, as Spider-Man says,
with great power comes great responsibility.
If you have an HOA that's very responsible and fair and all that, it's great.
Right.
But the moment you have an HOA that, like, descarado on board.
Yeah, sangre de dictador.
Yeah, there's some people here where I live, like, there's one neighbor in particular that, like, she goes to all the HOA meetings. I'm like, I've never, ever cared to be part of the HOA, ever. I have enough complications in my life.
This is true.
And I see this person in all the HOA meetings, and I'm like, if you ever run for president, I'm running against you because I will not allow it. I will not allow it.
Oh, no. I hope that this neighbor doesn't know who they are because I know some of your neighbors listen.
No, it's not my neighbors that listen.
Okay.
It's not my neighbor. Okay. Oh, my God, but maybe they're listening to this, and they'll be like, oh, I wonder what neighbor it is. But the neighbors I know that listen, it's not them. I love like the neighbors I know listen are great.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm like, when I see this woman in HOA meeting, I'm like, if you ever run for president, like, I'm running against you because, like, I cannot.
I'll find the time
for the sake of the community.
For the children.
For the children. Right. No, she probably won't let children, like, play outside because, it makes noise. It's a nuisance. Kids playing basketball on their driveways is a nuisance.
I can't.
Anyway, bueno. I hope Mrs Vangie gets her card. So, well, kind of the story I wanted to say. I mean, I it's not even a last soda, but it's one of these things that, like, at the moment they don't mean anything, and then I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too much into it. So I guess I'll give a last soda to myself. I don't think.
Well, you're very busy lately, so you're probably very thirsty.
no need to get into specifics, but in the last few weeks, I've been extremely busy. I've been working on these projects for a voter registration initiative that I'm a part of. Long story. The point is that I've set up these like community teams, and a lot of these people are canvassers, and they go out, and canvassing is a really hard job. A lot of people think it's easy, but it's actually very difficult. And I was fortunate enough to have built some really good teams. And, this week I decided to move on from that and, focus on something else. And so I said, I went to my teams earlier today, and I introduced them to the person who's going to kind of be taking over me and whatever. And in one of the teams, the team captain, I was like, hey, listen, I'm moving on. She's taking over. I just want to let you know it was great. It was a pleasure. You're great at what you do. And she's like, I'm so upset that you're leaving. And I'm like, oh, yeah, And she was like, I have to tell you that you're one of the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life. And she got choked up. And I'm like, I've known this person for only like a month. Right. and she's like, you're so kind, and you're so like, like every day you send us text messages like you're gonna do a great job. You're always encouraging us. She's like, you're one of the nicest people I've ever worked with and I've ever met. And she like kind of, it's COVID, so she kind of gave me like a side hug, and she's like, I wish you all the best, and I hope our paths meet again. And after I was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. That's really nice. But then after, I was like, I feel really good about that, because at the end of the day, isn't that what you want to be known for?
Yeah.
At least me. For being a kind person, or like a nice person. And like, it really, like, I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it, but it really, like, because this is a person, like, she's probably like in her 50s, very nice, very whatever. And you could tell it was very genuine. Right. That she was like, you're one of the nicest people I've ever met. And I was like, wow, that's a big, bold statement, you know? Right. And I could tell that she was being very sincere. So I was like very taken aback by it, because I was like,
But that's true. That is something that, I mean...
At the end of the day, for me...
Yeah, no, I strive for that too. I strive to be remembered as somebody who is likable. Somebody who you want to be around.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want people, when people think of me, I don't want them to think, oh, he's, a great legal mind, or he's like so funny, or he's so this. I want people to think, for me, I want people to think, he's a really nice person.
Right.
So... that's my soda. My soda goes to me. My humble soda. But I thought...
This is the episode where Darian talks about himself all episode.
Yeah. No, but you know what? It really, like, it was sort of a moment of reflection. I hate the term moment of reflection.
No, but I think that speaks to a little bit to what we were talking about a little earlier in the episode when we were talking about the Haitian refugees, right? It's, we should all strive for kindness. It's so important. And a lot of times people don't stop to think about it, and I want to think that people don't inherently want to be unkind, but I think it's so easy to sometimes be unkind or be dismissive or be get caught up in your own world that it's not the first reaction. Right. And I think that's something that, and again, I mean, I've known you your entire life, you do strive to be kind.
Me?
It's definitely top 3 of your priorities.
Yes. And whenever
don't ask me what the other 2 are.
Whenever I think I'm not, I catch myself. Or when I catch myself really quickly when I think I've not been kind, or like I've done something unkind. Right. Like I catch myself really quick. I'm like, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have said that.
Because we all do.
We have moments that we're like, fuck.
Yeah. We're human. Yeah. At the end of the day, but.
I already told you a story about the lady I apologized like 5 years later at Subway.
You did? I think you said it on this show.
Did I?
I think you did.
I'll say it again.
Yeah. Just give us the cliff notes. But yeah.
So does the Subway by my office in Hialeah, around the time of the the recession. So this would have been probably like 2010. A lot of people lost their jobs. My parents actually both lost their jobs. It's just that my parents kind of retired. They were forced.
Right, they were a certain age,
retired.
so yeah.
So they didn't want to retire, but they both lost their jobs. And thankfully, my parents were in a situation where they could just retire and whatever. But a lot of people, older people, had to go back to work.
Yeah.
And I went to Subway, and I sort of get ticked off. I don't know about you. When I go to Subway and it's like a little bit of an assembly line,
Right.
I get a little annoyed because it's like, I'm very picky about my sub. It's like, okay, I want more mayonnaise. Okay, I want the mayonnaise, mustard, cheese, meat, not the other way around. Like,
You're
I'm very picky
particular,
about it, right?
right.
This day, whatever, I guess I wasn't in the greatest of moods and whatever. And there was this older lady who was working there. And I knew that she was new because I go to the Subway quite often.
Right.
And I even thought, like, this is probably an older person that probably had an office job.
Had to go back to work.
Because she spoke, like, perfect English. So it wasn't like, a lot of times Subway hires older people that don't speak English, that maybe just came to the country and, are starting, whatever. No, this woman spoke, like, perfect English, and she was, like, my parents' age.
Okay, so
right?
There's a story there.
Right. So I'm like, this woman probably lost her job. She probably had like an office job of some sorts.
And
she lost her job.
She found this
and she needs a job.
And she's working.
She needs to pay those bills.
Yes, ma'am.
And she's working at Subway. And I remember I was like really short with her because she was new. And I was like, no, like I wasn't my best.
Right.
And you know that I never forgot about it. I never forgot about it. And it was like, I remember that day, I was like, after I was like, oh, like this wasn't the best of me. Like, why? And I wasn't even like rude to her. She maybe didn't even notice.
Yeah, God knows there were probably people who were ruder than.
But I was short with her. I wasn't rude, but I was short. And I'm thinking, like, this poor person, this was probably like her first week at the job, and here comes this fucking asshole, wanting more mayonnaise on his cold cut sub.
You and your mayonnaise.
On his cold cut sub, and the cheese in a certain direction, and this poor woman has to deal with all this stuff. So I felt really bad about it. And then after, I kept going to that Subway, somewhat occasionally, and I didn't see her again. And I thought, oh my God, this poor woman probably got, like, she, like, didn't make the cut or whatever.
Right.
Years later, I see her at that Subway, and I'm talking about like 4 years later, and I tell her, how long have you worked here? She's like 4 years, and I'm like, I think I remember when you started, and she's like, oh yeah, whatever, and I told her, you know what, you probably don't remember this, but I remember when you started, I was sort of not nice to you when I came, and I've never forgotten it. So much that I'm here 4 years later telling you this, and I've never forgotten it. And I want to apologize. And she was kind of like, first of all, I don't know who you are.
Right. She's like, thank you. I don't remember
I
it.
have no idea what you're talking about. But thank you.
Right.
And I have to tell you, I got a little bit of closure, and I was just happy to see her there. I'm like, she made the cut.
She didn't lose her job.
She made
still
the cut. She made the cut. But I was really happy to see her. I was like, oh my God, you're still here. How did I not see you for 4 years? I come to the Subway all the time. She's like, no, because I work the night shift. And I even figured out, I'm like, oh, it was probably like her first week. She was working the day shift.
To get trained.
She get trained. And then, when she got trained, she worked the night shift. And hence, I never saw her again. But I apologized to her 4 years later.
It's never too late for an apology. Moral of the story. Moral of the story,
but
never too late.
It's like you always need to try to be kind. And if you're not, we all have our days when you want extra mayo on your cold cut sub.
Just try to be the best version of yourself that possible.
Yes. Version of me.
Yes.
So anyway, with that, I kind of want Subway now.
I want something. I'm hungry.
Yeah.
So,
Let's have some Lay's.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, we hope everybody that you listened, laughed, and learned. And remember to grab. I would totally go for a pastelito right now and a croqueta.
Bueno, there's a 24-hour bakery on Coral Way.
Yeah. So remember to grab your pastelito, your croqueta, and your cafecito. And thank you so much for joining us, everyone.
Yep.
That was episode 175. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Cuídense, mi gente.
Bye.
Pero Let Me Tell You is co-hosted by Darian Borges and Ismaeliano, produced by Ismaeliano, and our theme, Pero Let Me Tell You Freestyle, is composed by Michael Angelo Lomlaplex, the official gay guy. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes.